Guys, if I tell you that I didn't get tired of watching this particular episode of the Real Housewives of Lagos here, I'll be a liar, because it was just too much. It was a lot, okay?
Ryan Little.
Hey Bethans, what's up and welcome back to my channel. My name is Austin Betha. I'm so glad to have you guys here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly click on the subscribe button before you leave. Also give this video a very big thumbs up right now or at the end if you enjoyed watching it, okay? Now I know you guys were expecting me to probably bring to you the episode 11 of Real Housewives of Lagos, but I mean from the website here, what we could see was that episode 11 was strictly about the launch of the show, so it had nothing to do with the previous episodes that we had seen. So of course they brought to us an episode 12, and that's where we actually saw what went down between Chioma and Caroline, okay? And to be very honest here, I'm not even here to talk plenty. I don't even have power for that at all. So I'm going to try and insert, you know, clips here and there so you guys can have an idea of what happened and, you know, what was said to who and by who and all of that, okay? Now from the beginning of the episode here, they gave us a recap of, you know, mostly the good moments between Chioma and Caroline and, you know, some of the other housewives and all of that, but it was mostly around Chioma and Caroline. And at that point I just knew that we were in for a lot of drama. I just couldn't wait to see what really happened. You know, how did they get to that part where, you know, they were now insulting themselves, calling themselves riffraffs and all of that. Now the first major scene that was shown to us on episode 12 were the ladies on the yacht. See, all the women just they call out different things, so I don't really know what it be, you know. But then, you know, they were on the boat. Let's just use boat, okay? We're not gonna kill ourselves. They were on the boat, okay, and it was all the housewives, so including Laura. And so Iyabo was like, so you can finally come on a boat, Abby. But when me I had my own at Lashe, you said you were not coming, you did not like water, blah blah blah. Is this one not water? Is this one not a boat?
She's an hypocrite. You see, she's on this boat now, but she didn't come on my own yacht boat for me. What's going on with the water thing?
But we already know that, you know, Laura didn't want to be at that particular event, because even when she said that, yeah, they showed us what she was doing in the house. She was in a pool. So I mean, it wasn't a case of, you know, not wanting to be in the water or, you know, having a phobia for boats and all of that. It's just a case of her not wanting to be at that event. And of course Iyabo dragged her. In fact, Toyin was like, you, what are you doing here? Shebi, you say you don't like water. Shebi, you say you don't like this. And of course she had to apologize to Iyabo. I mean, at the end of the day, she came for this one because it was Toyin's event. And you guys remember from the beginning, Laura kind of had issues with, you know, most of these other housewives. So yeah, they had that conversation. It wasn't anything deep, you know. They just laughed about it and moved away from that. Now while Toyin was still talking to Laura and Iyabo, Auntie Caroline came out and she's like, Toyin, please, I need a cup and, you know, ice cubes and all of that. And Toyin's like, can't you see that I'm having a conversation with Laura? Like, why are you being rude? And for Caroline, it's like, I just want a cup. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. I just want a cup. And, you know, Toyin kept on telling her, oh, you were rude, you were rude. And Caroline is like, I don't understand. Me asking you for a cup, how am I rude? I mean, I don't want anybody to insult me, so I just walked away, because at the end of the day, you know, this whole lifestyle, you know, bougie lifestyle, that's her life. You know, for her, it's not something that, you know, she will not allow someone to start talking to her anyhow, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they had that conversation and they moved away from it, okay?
Get on there. Toyin, please, sorry, can I get a cup and ice cubes if possible?
Dear, why are you being rude?
What happened?
I was trying to talk to Laura. Why are you being rude?
Sorry, I'm just asking you for cup.
You're rude. I'm talking to Laura, so I excused myself because it is a yacht. Like, it's part of my life. I don't need for anyone to be shouting at me because I'm on a yacht.
Now, whilst they were still on the boat, there were now conversations here and there. And the first major conversation was between Iyabo and Chioma. Actually, Iyabo called Chioma aside and, you know, she just wanted to know how Chioma was doing. You know, seeing that she's the only person who's probably not married, you know, doesn't have a child and all of that. She just wanted to know how Chioma was doing, because according to Iyabo, she loves Chioma as her younger sister. And of course, they sat down, they had that conversation, and Chioma is like, yeah, that she really wants to have a kid, but I mean she doesn't want to have a kid out of wedlock. You know, for her she would rather get married first and just do things the right way. But she's also scared that, you know, because of how much success she has amassed for herself, it might be difficult for people to like her for who she genuinely is. You know, some people might come to her because of, you know, what they think they can get from her, and you know how comfortable their kids would be if they have her on their corner and all of that. And she also mentioned that she would rather date London guys because Lagos guys are liars, they sabi lie way, and the girl is not really far from the truth, okay? Even if it's not all of them, but I mean a lot of Lagos guys are just, they're good liars, okay? And then for the London boys today, she's like, well, even dating London boys, those ones too, they are stingy, they are that. But anyways, they had that conversation. And then there was this other conversation between Miriam, Caroline, and Chioma. And it was Miriam basically telling us how she eventually fell in love with her husband. You know, of course, we all know that he's older than her and everything. And she was like, you know, for her, at the beginning, she didn't really see the guy like that. Like, she would even eye the guy like, what are you doing here? She told us that this, her husband, literally bribed all her family members, you know, to talk to her and all of that, and she was the last person to even see him like that.
They fell in love with him before I liked him. I just coming to the side. Miriam, you know that white guy? I said, which white guy? I beg, me marry that one, go for it.
And the truth is, this is what happens in most cases. You find people telling you, oh, this person I'm married to now, we're never friends, I never liked him, he was this, he was that, but he was just that person that, you know, had her back and all of that. And what changed her mind, what gave her a different perspective about this guy, was when she had her fibroid surgery, and you know, the guy was literally there. He didn't remember to shave, he was just very unkempt, trying to take care of her. And for her, it's like, okay, if someone can go far and beyond to do this for me, like, wait till they find outside again. And she didn't care how old he was, she didn't care what people had to say. Just knowing that this guy would always have her back just gave her a different perspective, and she decided to marry the guy.
I've never really had someone that would like stand with me like that. I'd be like, oh, Miriam, you know, if I'm not happy, it's not happy. She get me. So that's when I realized that what am I looking for outside?
Exactly.
To be sincere, what am I looking for outside?
You know, when she was talking, she broke down. It was really sweet to see. Caroline was like, yeah, thank God you did not let your stubbornness and all of that rip you off of such bundle of joy. I mean, just getting married to someone who has your back. And it was really nice to watch that part. Actually, it was so nice to watch, okay? Now, the next morning, what we saw was just this emotional phone calls. And in my mind, I'm like, what did we miss? Like, what happened at night? Okay, because we saw Chioma just really moody, we saw Miriam really moody. You know, Miriam was on the phone with her sister Lola, Chioma was on the phone with her mom and her elder sister Adana, and you know, they were all just talking. And in my mind, I'm like, wait till happen. Like, at some point, yeah, Chioma was even crying, and in my mind, I'm like, why didn't they show us what happened first, you know, before we get to this part? But yeah, we could tell from the conversation that Chioma was having with her mom and sister that there was a very serious issue the previous night, and you know, it had to do with Chioma herself, Iyabo and Caroline, even though Chioma was trying so hard not to mention names to her mom and sister while she was talking to them. But it was just really easy for us to tell that these were the people she was referring to, because she said that, you know, she had a problem with someone who she's very close to, and the person she's close to is Caroline, and another person who she respects and sees as a big sister, and that's obviously Iyabo. And of course we were right, because when they now took us back to the fight and everything, we saw that truly it was between these three ladies, okay? Laura was also on the phone with her best friend Celine, and they were just talking about, you know, what had happened the previous night. If you see what happened last night, they called it that. I'm like, what happened? May they tell us what happened? Go. We don't need all these phone conversations. Can you just show us what happened, please? Let us see for ourselves. Thank you. But anyways, they didn't particularly show us at that moment, because the next scene was, you know, Caroline hosting the ladies at the Billionaires Club. And for Caroline, it's like, yeah, I know I had issues last night with Iyabo and all of that, but I mean, today it's a party. I don't want any hard feelings, I don't want any bad blood. Whatever bad blood you're carrying, drop it at the door, let's have some fun. So she was trying to be really friendly to Iyabo, but Iyabo wasn't having it. Like, I can't pretend, okay? We just had an issue the previous night. How come you are here now acting as if everything is fine and all of that? But in all, they had fun. Like, they had mad ass fun at that club, at the Billionaires Club, that even the white people in the club were just hailing them and all. It was just really funny. It was just really exciting to see them have so much fun, including Laura, okay? They all had fun, and it was just really nice to watch. Now, of course, after the party, these ladies decided to have a short hangout. They all sat down, you know, having drinks, having tea tequila and all of that, and they started talking about Chioma and how blogs have said that Chioma had gotten engaged 4 times and even that she was married and all of that. And Chioma is like, no, I've never been engaged to anybody. I just love to wear rings. I'm not wearing rings because anybody put a ring on it. I'm just wearing rings because I love to wear rings. So she cleared the air about that. So she has never been engaged. She has never been married to anybody. Okay, now they moved on talking about Laura. Now this time around, it wasn't like they were talking about Laura, because Laura was actually there, and Chioma was like, so do you see how the chat on the WhatsApp group came off, blah 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 blah. And Laura is like, I didn't see it that way. But then of course Caroline explained that she already had some bottled up emotions. They should discuss as women that have sense. Okay, there was no need for shouting. Even when Iyabo was like, but you Laura, that you were complaining, you came late for my child's birthday, you also came late for your own event, Laura just apologized. For me, it was one of the most mature conversations that they've had since the beginning of this episode. Okay,
Back at that message, can you see it and understand how that came across as rude?
I didn't see it that way.
Do you now see it that way?
I think it was her response. And like she said, she's bottled up a lot of things. She felt attacked. We've been feeling attacked before, prior to the message.
You came late to my daughter's party too,
I apologize.
And late to your own fashion show.
I apologize.
Yeah, they apologized. It was fun. They laughed about the fact that Toyin said she was bringing a man for Chioma, and Caroline is like, no ma'am, you can get any man of your choice. You don't need anybody to introduce you to any man. But I mean, they just had that conversation, even if they did not show us any man that Tony brought for Chioma, but it was part of what they discussed on that table. Okay, and of course after they had all that conversation, they decided to have some fun at the pool. They had water gun. It was just really funny. I mean, just seeing grown-ass women having so much fun. I mean, I wanted to have the same amount of fun, but yeah, it was just the housewives that had this fun, and it was just really nice to see. Okay, now before we knew it, everywhere just scattered, because there was now this conversation by the poolside between Iyabo, Chioma, Miriam and Caroline.
So how can you be eating without calling me? Are you okay?
So vicious.
Yeah, it's vicious. I'm cold. Everything is freezing.
And it was like them talking about how they felt, saying that they've all squashed their issues. Miriam is like, I'm happy that we've all sorted out our issues. I'm happy that we are good. I'm happy that we are that.
happy everyone has
I really want to swallow.
sorted out their differences, to move on.
I'm happy too.
And Caroline is like, yeah, I'm happy to, blah 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 blah. But before we knew it, there was just this switch, because Chioma was like, yeah, but you Caroline, I was trying to talk to you yesterday to apologize to Iyabo, and you refused. You were just saying, no, you've apologized to her once, you cannot apologize to her again, blah blah blah. And Caroline is like, no Chioma, that's not what happened. I didn't say that I was not going to apologize to her again. Matter of fact, Caroline made us understand that she had apologized to Iyabo 3 times and even bought Iyabo a gift. So like, what other apology do you people expect her to give Iyabo? Like, do you want me to come and lie down on the floor and say, hey, Queen of the Most High, I'm sorry, blah blah blah? Like, what were you expecting? But Chioma's anger is, you know what? You're my friend and I was trying to talk to you, but you weren't listening to me. So what's the chances that you're not going to do the same thing to me? I mean, it's just a matter of time. If you could do something like this, if you could treat Iyabo like this, Iyabo, who has been like a big sister to the both of us, who has been nice to the both of us, then I mean, you can do the same thing to me, and even worse. And Caroline is like, no, Chioma, that's not fair, because I mean, in the 3 months that we've been friends, have I ever just had a blind rage on you before? And Chioma is like, no, you haven't. And Caroline is like, so what's your point? I mean, this one was transfer of aggression, and I apologized.
I apologized. I went as far as buying you a gift. You accepted the gift 3 times. You accepted my apology 3 times. Why are we still on and on about it?
You don't need to go down. They lie. They fucking lie. Who lies? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
She explained that, she was hungry, she was this, she didn't have a room to herself. Then it now shifted from them just talking about whatever it was they were talking about, and then they started making us understand that Caroline already had issues with the fact that she didn't have a room to herself. Now Caroline's argument is this: you guys moved me from a 6-bedroom villa to a 5-bedroom villa. I mean, everybody's getting a room to themselves, and you guys thought it was okay to put me and Chioma in the same room. Why? The fact that we're friends doesn't mean that I cannot get a room to myself. Like, why put me in the same room with Chioma? I also need my privacy. And Iyabo is like, but then when Toyin asked you, you said it was fine. So how come you're having issues with it now? So basically, what even caused the gbasgbos from the beginning was the fact that Caroline didn't have a room to herself, and Iyabo found that shocking. Like, why wouldn't you want to spend time with your bestie in a room? They started arguing, and voices started to fly. I mean, I cannot come here now and tell you guys, oh, this person said this, because it was a lot. Okay, it was a lot. Chioma was shouting, Caroline was shouting, you are mad, you're stupid, you are this, you are that. Chioma is like, now I see why people don't like you.
I should be asking you what you're talking about, what you're on and on about. Oh, shut your own mouth. What kind of nonsense is that?
You're the kind of person that you'll say one thing, when you get called out, you run to the left, you run to the right. Make
I'm running to one left and
make
right.
it make sense.
That's Caroline for you. When she's having issues with someone, she wants to talk about that person, even what the person has said about you, so that you can join forces, you understand, to fight that person. I won't do that.
I have to make you understand that Toyin was a good person. You're very stupid.
Oh my God,
you're
Caroline.
very stupid.
You said that Toyin was a good person.
You're very
You
stupid.
said that Caroline
You're
Toyin was a
very
good
stupid.
person. Everything
Very
I know about
stupid.
you is full of bullshit. Shut up, you
Shut
fucking
your
liar.
mouth, you
Stop
idiot.
your lies.
Are you kidding me? You're
Caroline,
stupid.
oh my God,
You're stupid.
I should have let them beat you.
You're the reason
I should have let them beat you up.
Yes,
I should have let them beat you up. You
You're the reason why I've been having issues with all these girls.
And Caroline is like, Chioma, please shut up. These people that you're trying to now act as bestie with now, you actually call them rags. And Chioma is like, yeah, I call them rags, but they're my best friends now. I call them rags, but they're my best friends now. Wait here. At some point, yeah, they had to just carry Chioma to one side, carry Caroline to another side. Chioma was still venting, blah 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 blah. I've seen beyond all of these things that she's doing. She's this. I know she makes stupid decisions, but I still choose to stay with her. I mean, look at the fight that they had last night. I would have allowed Iyabo beat her, because Iyabo really wanted to beat Caroline last night. Like, if they had given Iyabo a chance, Iyabo would have finished her, because Iyabo was so upset that Chioma was trying to, stop her from beating Caroline, to the point where she carried Chioma and just flung Chioma. Chioma even hit the dressing mirror and had bruises on her leg. So Chioma's anger is like, I'm here defending you. I even have injuries because of you, and you still don't see anything wrong with you not listening to me. Like, what is wrong with you? And Caroline is like, no, I already apologized. You are lying. You just want to be in the good books of these other ladies, blah 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 blah. Guys, I was tired. Okay, it was a lot. I mean, again, like Toyin said, yeah, friendships are always subject to change. So when you're friends with someone, be careful what you even tell them. I mean, they're your best friends, yes, so you're allowed to share stuff with them, but just be sure that what you're sharing with them are not things that when they say it back to you, or when they snitch on you, so to speak, you start feeling bad, because that was basically what was playing out between Chioma and Caroline. And as much as I understood that Chioma had her argument, like, I'm your friend, you should listen to me, Caroline also had an argument like, no, the way you were commanding me wasn't nice. Besides, I already apologized, so what is this about? So I don't even know. Two of them, they had the fight, they are no longer friends. Matter of fact, remember the chain that they had as friends, the chain that both Chioma and Caroline, had one time, and they inscribed their names on it.
Caroline decide to get 2 necklaces with our names inscribed in it.
We're going to use it to do Pepe Dem Gang. Ha! These two girls.
Chioma is like, we are done, and she cut the chain. She's like, I'm done with this, and she flung it. I'm like, okay, who am I?
I don't need two-faced people around me. No, I'm done.
See this stupid chain? Done. Stupid thing.
Anyways, after all these gbasgbos and all of that, the next scene was now Chioma hosting the ladies. I mean, she had promised Toyin that she was going to take them on a car racing there in Dubai, and of course she did that. But this time around, Caroline wasn't there, or Bestie not there again. It was Laura and the other ladies, except Caroline. They had the Lamborghinis, they had all that, really fancy fast cars. And yeah, after they did the whole car racing thing, they went on to do the bonfire hosted by Toyin herself. And it was at the bonfire, they talked a lot about bad energy, just squashing things. And Toyin now announced to them that she found out that she was pregnant on this trip to Dubai. The ladies were really excited. There were a lot of cheers up and down. And yeah, that was basically how they ended this particular episode. And of course, I would not fail to mention the fact that Chioma was really tapping into the whole pregnancy thing, because she really wants to have a baby, and all of that. And I just pray that, whatever she wishes herself comes to pass. But guys, let me know what you think about this whole fight between Chioma and Caroline? Like, did you think that Chioma was overreacting? Did you also think that Caroline was just lying? Because again, Laura kept on saying that now they finally seen reasons with me. I always told them that Caroline was a big liar, but nobody believed me. And this also goes to show us that, you know, Laura wasn't insane to tell us that, oh, she felt like these ladies were ganging up against her, because they even made mention of that themselves. You know, it was almost like part of the reason Caroline was upset was because Iyabo now started talking to Laura after Laura apologized. And this was after they had all agreed not to talk to Laura. They all agreed to give Laura some space so that she can come back to her senses, according to Chioma. You know, so yeah, Laura didn't lie when she told us at that point that, you know, she felt like there was a gang up against her. There was actually a gang up against her. So guys, just let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Okay, now I don't know if this is actually the last episode of this season, but yeah, we're just going to watch out to see, because they didn't show us what would happen on the next episode. So maybe not. If they release a new episode, I will definitely bring it to you guys. If not, we move. Okay, thank you guys so much. I love you so much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.